India has just completely overhauled its criminal laws, some of which were literally over a century and a half old. So what does this actually mean for you and me? In this explainer, we're going to cut through all the legal jargon and show you the key changes that could really affect your life. Let's dive in. Just imagine that for a second. The entire rulebook for crime and justice, written way back in the colonial era, has been tossed out and replaced. And this isn't just a minor update, a few tweaks here and there. This is a massive, foundational shift in how the country's entire legal system works. All right, first things first, let's get the new names down. The old Indian Penal Code, the IPC, is now called the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, or BNS for short. This is the big one. It defines what a crime is and sets the punishment. Then you have the Code of Criminal Procedure, the CRPC. That's now the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the BNSS. Think of this one as the how-to guide, the instruction manual for police and the courts. These two are the new bedrock of criminal justice in India. So, where do we even begin with all these changes? Well, one of the most fundamental shifts is in how we even define a crime. The new laws get way more specific, updating old, vague language to reflect the kinds of harm we actually see in society today. Okay, this might sound a bit technical, but it is absolutely crucial to understand. A crime is a broad idea, right? It's any act that harms society. But for the police or the courts to actually do something about it, that act has to be defined as a specific offense in the law books. If it's not written down as an offense, you can't be prosecuted for it. It's as simple as that. And here's a really powerful example of why that distinction matters: mob lynching. Before, it was obviously a horrific crime, but believe it or not, there wasn't a specific law for it. Prosecutors had to kind of piece together a case using other charges like murder or rioting. Now, the BNS calls it out by name, defining mob lynching as its own distinct offense with its own clear punishment. Next up, the new laws are expanding the very reach of Indian justice. We're basically talking about redrawing the map of where the law can be applied. So, when you hear about a crime happening in India, what does that actually mean? Where does that legal boundary end? Well, you might be surprised to learn it's not just about the landmass anymore. The new definition is much, much broader. The law now clearly states that India includes all of this. Of course, you have the land, the sea up to 12 nautical miles from the coast, and the airspace right above us. But here's the kicker. It also includes any ship or aircraft that is registered in India, no matter where it is in the world. You can think of them as little pieces of floating Indian territory. So a crime committed on an Indian airline flying over the Atlantic, that now falls squarely under Indian law. This next change is a huge, huge win for citizens. We've all heard those awful stories, right? A victim gets turned away from a police station because the officer says, "Sorry, this didn't happen in our area." Well, the new law tackles this problem head-on by officially putting the zero FIR into the rulebook. Let's walk through how this works in practice. Say a crime takes place in Delhi, but the victim makes it to Gurugram. They can walk into any police station in Gurugram and report it. That station must file what's called a zero FIR. It literally gets crime number 0. They cannot turn the victim away anymore. Then it becomes their job to transfer that case file to the correct station in Delhi. The biggest takeaway here is that the burden of finding the right jurisdiction is now on the police, not on the person reporting the crime. Okay, now let's talk about the actual process of filing an FIR. That's the first information report, the first step in any criminal case. The new laws are finally dragging this whole process into the digital age, and it's a real game changer. You see, in the past, you pretty much had to physically go to a police station to file an FIR. But now, the BNSS adds a third, really important option: telecommunication. And yes, that means exactly what you think it means. A phone call, an email, even a message can now be the official start of an FIR. Now, there is one important condition. If you file that FIR over the phone or by email, you have 3 days to go to the police station in person and sign the report. This is a pretty smart way to balance the convenience of digital reporting with the need to make sure everything is officially verified. So what if a case isn't so clear-cut? To prevent the system from getting clogged up with frivolous FIRs, the new law introduces something called a preliminary inquiry. This gives the police a short window of time to check things out before formally registering a case.
But they can't just delay things for no reason. There are very strict rules. This kind of preliminary inquiry is only allowed for offenses where the punishment is between 3 and 7 years. And on top of that, the police need to get permission from a senior officer, a DSP or higher, and they have just 14 days to make a decision. This is really designed to be a check and balance to prevent delays and any abuse of power.
But what happens if the system fails you? What if you do everything right and the police still refuse to help? Well, the new law gives you a very clear path to take action. It's a frustratingly common story, isn't it? You go to the police with a real, serious problem and they just turn you away. The new BNSS provides a clear legal roadmap for exactly what you should do next.
Here's your 3-step plan. If the local police station won't file your FIR, your next move is to send a written complaint by post to their boss, the Superintendent of Police, or SP. If that doesn't work, you can then go directly to the judicial magistrate. This is huge. It gives every single citizen a direct line to the court system if the police fail to do their job.
So the new laws are on the books. We have a modernized framework, we have clearer definitions, and we have more citizen-friendly procedures. But the real question is, will these changes on paper actually translate to better justice on the ground? Well, that's the real test, and it's a test that starts right now.